We talked about how to create winning subject lines, how to test your way to 80%. Let's talk about how to create winning body copy that gets you the highest response rate. So obviously between those different templates, there's a bunch of variation based on the amount of personalization, based on the type of the email itself. Your response rate is going to fluctuate between the different outreach strategies. I still recommend you pick one and optimize that one as best as you can. So there's a few things that drive success for a body email message. One, the level of personalization. So if the personalized compliment is on point, it matches that sort of peer-to-peer thing. It shows, if it's a good compliment, that's going to often increase your response rate because they'll pay more attention. A lot of times if they show up and there's not a good compliment, they'll leave. They think, this is just a spam email he's sending to thousands of people. It doesn't really apply to me. They can't think that if there's a really specific compliment. Also, the really specific compliment keeps you from being marked as spam because it turns you from somebody who's trying to take something from them to someone who's trying to give something to them, which is a compliment and free value, right? Or something that's potentially valuable for them, right? So it's an important step you want to do. So when it comes to creating good compliments, you want to make sure it's personal. You want to make sure it's specific. As specific as possible, right? You want it to be about something they specifically said on their site, something they said on a podcast, something they said or something they did in a video or a post. You want it to be something that can only apply to them. You can't be like, hey, I loved your channel. That doesn't do anything, right? That can make sense in anybody's inbox who has a YouTube channel. So make sure it's specific, make sure it only makes sense for them. Another thing that's important with your compliments, you want to avoid coming off as a fanboy, right? So if you're like, hey, I really loved your video, like that's such a cool lighting or a cool sound, or oh, that's a cool point you made. If you make that point, it puts you in the position of the inferior. They think, this guy's one of my fans, right? And there's always going to be a hierarchy difference between the content creator and the fan. So avoid doing that. Make sure that your compliment keeps you on their level. And you do this by tying it into how that helps your marketing. So you say, hey, I liked your recent video about mistakes that people make when they're learning how to do planche push-ups. I can see how that would be really useful for your target audience when they're first starting out. You've now established the fact that, hey, I'm on the same level as you. Like, you're an expert when it comes to gymnastics. I'm an expert when it comes to marketing, and I can see what you're doing. We're both playing the game. We both know the marketing game, and I like this thing that you did, right? So that's an important thing. You want to make sure that the compliment is not only is it specific, but that it keeps you on a peer level, right? And shows subtly that you're an expert, right? So that's an important concept. Another thing is length. You don't want the compliment to be too long. Like, you don't want to write 3 or 4 lines about how great something is. You probably want it to be like 1 to 2 sentences max, right? Keep it short, keep it specific, keep it relevant. That's going to be a huge factor in driving the success of your sales campaign for your email marketing campaign. The other big driver is so besides just personalization, another big driver for success is making sure that you're teasing something, right? You're building some level of curiosity around something specific, some idea that you had, right? And this is going to be really helpful since you've studied fascinations. You know how to write fascinations. You can use some of those same elements. You want to tease the idea. You want to say, I had an idea for how to do this, and then give just a little bit of information about how. Not enough to ruin the surprise, but just enough to give them some curiosity about the full picture so they will opt in and go to the next stage of, there's different email outreach strategies. So you've got to build curiosity. If there's no curiosity, you're going to have a much, much lower response rate. So build curiosity. And then you want to play around with different CTAs. You're going to test around with asking directly for a call, asking about a specific time, asking just a yes or no, are you interested? Playing around with different things like that. Those are going to be the main levers you're going to play with. The personalization, the thing you're teasing, the curiosity you're teasing, and the way you ask for the CTA at the very end. Those are going to be the main things you want to personalize and test to go, once you've got your open rate to above 80%, to then take your email body response rate to above 10%. So those are the main levers. Use those to get your response dialed in.